Hello everyone and welcome to this new TEPPEN video. My name is Nintendo and today we're going to be talking about the new decks you could probably run with the new patch and everything that's gone by. Me and James Chen did a talk about it. If you don't know, I'll put a link in the description below. We discussed our thoughts. There was a particular card that when it got nerfed, I forgot about another card that you could technically work with it, so it's not completely, well, when I get to the card I'll explain. Well, it was V. What am I saying? It was V, you know how it was changed to 10 MP. I forgot simply to mention that with purple, there is Surge of Demonic Power, and you can actually change it to a 5. Yeah, so there is different ways to play, but yeah, with the new changes, there are some new decks that have sort of taken rise, seeing as how the changes to Rokoho. Other decks have sort of started to come forward. People are still experimenting. You know, it's only technically day 3, 4, really, that since the patch came out, that we're all sort of just playtesting stuff and seeing how things go. Panda deck, as much as we think we thought it could be really good, it's kind of until we find a sort of a suitable build. Like, I got a build and I think it was pretty fun to play with it. For me, the deck is fun. I don't know if it's like worthy to be top tier. I don't think it is, but it was a fun deck, at least to say. Playing that deck. So today I figured we'd just go over some of the decks you can expect to actually see on the climb to champion. I haven't reached champion yet. I've sort of been stuck in my own little perpetual hell of back and forth wins. As it was shown on stream, I was just not doing well, and you know, chat was having a blast watching me back and forth. Misery. So yeah, that happened. But I'll showcase today what I think are the main kind of priority decks that you can expect to see, and what I think could be potentially top tier. So without further ado, let's go check out some of these decks. Okay, let's start off with the deck everyone was thinking was going to be good. Bamboo Pandemonium. So, Speed Panda as I call it. So basically with this deck, Panda is the only 3-cost unit in the deck. That way you can take full advantage of Hatred Reborn and Warped Research Instinct, so because they bring back units that are 3 MP or less with Seal. So Panda is the only 3 MP unit in this deck. We run 3 layers for mana control because Pandas really do slow down your mana control. There's 2 Irises in here as well to help with that. We run 3 Rush Rotors because, as I found out with some of the games I was playing, having Rush Rotor on the field with 2 Pandas is a scary field for your opponent because there's just agility pandas at 4 attack coming straight at them and they don't have time to react to the damage output. Rainy Turtloid because, you know, Rainy Turtloid is effective at just being the Ascended Spillover with 3 attacks, so always good. Wall Jumps protect, I would say, your mana control units. Those Memories is also really good either when you have reached your 7 mana count or to kill a unit. The Heartless Experiments and the Psycho Powers are there to buff your mana control, Layer and Iris, so that they can stay on the field a bit longer. Crossblades is in here because, you know, Crossblades is good. You can use this to help destroy your panda to pop a unit of 4 MP or less. Fatally Unworthy because Fatally Unworthy is technically still kind of a little bit busted for what it can do, but it's still effectively a good card. And of course, Civilization Sigma because, you know, it's Sigma and Sigma is a beast. And we love Sigma, because Sigma's cool. But I had a couple goes with this deck on Ladder Climb. It's fun. I wouldn't really say it's kind of the top tier, but it is a pretty solid-ish fun deck to play. I would say there's still some experimentation with this deck, but yeah. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, we're on to Nergigante Spike Launch with this deck. I forgot to mention in the Panda deck, that was Spike Dive Bomb Nergigante as well, because Dive Bomb is probably the best hero art, because you can use Dive Bomb on the Pandas to kill them, and yeah. So anyway, now we're on to Spike Launch deck here. My apologies. So Spike Launch, I think, can see a lot of good play. I did enjoy this deck a lot back in the season of, before Haunted by Memories. This was a very solid, fun deck to play. You run your Dark Usurper Urizen to cut your life in half, and then you can utilize Urizen's abilities, which are very, very strong and are good. It's very effective. Ultimate Price, because it does sacrifice 5 life, and you kind of want to do that, and you can pop any unit as long as you can target it. Spreading Infection, just to get more zombos on the field. Alexia Ashford, because, Alexia is just that really good of just, like, destroying a 5 MP or less, and sacking 3 life as well. Malphus is there for when you are down to 15 or less, to basically get that buff, and to basically keep proccing your life when you're 10 or lower. Like, Malphus is really good for that. He has a solid body once you drop him down at 15 life or less. Great Gyros is really, I would say, a very good card. Like, I like the idea of that this is the one unit that, you are sacking 3 life, but you are buffing your field with 2 HP. So it's nice to have a unit that does that. 3 Fates of the Unworthies. Why not? 3 Gates, because, we're all about sacrificing that life. And Gate is really effective for 3 costs to get +1/+2. Dynamo as well, when you growth him up, he will sacrifice 3 life. So you definitely want to get him rolling. Burn Dynarix, when your life points are at 10, he gets that major buff. So, when you're basically trying to focus your life points down to about 15 to 10, you really utilize a lot of the units in the deck. You got your zombies for your mana controls, your selfish predations for the health regen. Sigma is in here as usual, and yeah, this is spike launch, so you just want to get your life points sacrificed quickly, and then you can sort of start clearing the field when it gets too strong for you to handle, or when you want to maintain that massive board control. But yeah, spike launch I think is still a very good deck to climb with. I'm not sure about in champion tier, but I would say that it's very solid enough to do it. I went over this deck before in one of my other previous videos, like a sleeper deck. I think this is a very strong deck right now. Like, with the current changes, flying units have a very high advantage in the current meta right now, I'd say. So, Valstrex is kind of just busted. So, look, a monster deck that has Valstrex in it is going to be pretty OP. Or Rathalos Blazing Wall, so yeah. I've pretty sure I've gone over this deck. You probably can take out the Mega Tortoise for another unit with a 4 cost and just really utilize the aggro potential of this deck, because it is very powerful, it is very good. Still like it. Fungalalas, your Bambaros. Great Roggy kind of just takes the cake there because of its ability. I think what I have noticed is that you probably could throw in Rathian potentially into this deck as well. And Rathian just kind of makes Great Roggy pretty stupid, because she keeps adding that damage proc, and then he keeps getting a buff attack. And if you're able to keep him alive with, like, say, riding the giant weapon, hey, Great Roggy is going to be pretty stupidly strong on the field. Yeah. So I still say this is a pretty good choice of a deck. Very strong, very good contender. Next here we have is Shield Spire, Feline. I think this is still probably one of the top. This is probably going to be one of your top tier decks. Like, if you know how to play this deck extremely well, then this will be probably one of the strongest decks out there. Just because of such utility out of Shield Spire, what the units can do, how much mana you can roll and gain. Sorry, I do not have the new Feline. Yet. We'll consider it. But Trinity Shield Spire makes this deck just really strong. When you've got that full field, once you got that set up, and then you drop Trinity, man, it's just so powerful. Although I have noticed that if you do a full field, you do Trinity, and they do, I think someone told me that they black countered with Living Death. Trinity does not trigger until after. So basically, when they did Living Death and they reset the field, Trinity then triggered and buffed all the other units that were on the field that they had. So Black players have to watch out for that. But I still say that this deck is a very strong contender. You got your wall jumps, you got your 2 disarms, 2 evasive actions in here, dulled memories. The disarms and evasive actions could be kind of I think this is a recent change up I had like the Thirsty Games on here in my stream, and sort of just went over, because he's the green expert, so he went over and told me to do a couple of changes, and I think and I believe with him 100% that these changes were good. So this is what I came up with. I would even say maybe a 3rd Yan Ku, because it's such a good unit for agility. 1 Titsi for seals. There's an Ivy Trap teamwork to seal your opponent as much. Your Neros is just really good for what he does, of just getting +1/+1 for each different tribe. He initially is 2 tribes, so it's always best to pair Nero up with Feline on the field. And if you've got Turtleoid, you're giving him potentially so much damage. Iris is for your mana control. You got your Heavenly Kicks Chun-Li. You know, these are your power units. Well, along with Ultra Lady Karen. Karen also for another seal, because you can never have too many seals, I can tell you that. And then Felicia's there for your Ascension units, really. Like, you know, you drop her, you flood the field, and if you're able to get like a Turtloid down, yep, boom. And Karen, if potentially it's in front of a unit that is unique to seal. So I still say this is a very strong deck. This is probably one of the top tier decks right now. But yeah, that's Shield Spire. Burn Dante is still good. That's it. Burn Dante is good. When I have the deck simply because now I have the deck because simply when I did my pools for the for this new season, I got the Dante skin. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm a Dante main. I built the deck, but I've barely really used it on ladder, to be truthfully honest. I don't know. Like, the deck works fine. It's not really my thing to play. I'm not exactly keen to play a deck like this, but you know, that's works. What I was more interested in was playing like some kind of old school stuff. I did build like a variation of this Dante with Devil Trigger, which was all about just basically, you know, you play Hisenkos and you resonate. And Ibukis as well. You got Dante in there as well to Devil Trigger, and Nevin is really good as well. And it's all about just, you know, it's an old school, it's a very, very old school deck. It's simply just, you know, you hold the field, keep them at bay, you have Devil Trigger to keep yourself alive. We can do negates, you got Ceasefire, we have Splendid Buffets, we have hook shots in here to basically give these units flight. Hidden Intent for that one negate of 5 MP or less, but to halve your life, but Nero and Dante can sort of get away with it. Here. Devil Trigger as well, but it's just about simply just holding that field, keeping them at bay. You want your opponent to flood the field so that you can keep holding their units and just fly over with your big strong units and keep resonating. And yeah, that's that OT, old school Reso deck. Alright, next on the agenda here I've got Uroboros Wesker. So this is my Turbo Uroboros Wesker deck. I do really like this. I think it's a lot of fun. With Turbo Uroboros Wesker is basically like, you know, Turbo version is ditching cards as fast as you can to the graveyard. I decided to put in 3 False Thrones. I kind of started seeing a better draws when I was, because originally I was not getting the best draws, but once I changed it a bit, I started getting a little bit better draws. Selfish Predation to heals. You got Murderous Spikes just for that potential unit to kill at 2 costs. That is a big threat. You got Bolt Reavers, Valor. It's not hard to get Memory 7. Death Executioner to give units revenge and to remove. We got a Possessing Malice. I'm still a bit... I said it came in handy at points on a stream when someone asked me about it. I'm like... I feel like you can definitely change this card around for this variation of the deck. You run your 3 Rebirths. Fairly Unworthy, Sigma. Return of the Heretics is good because you are ditching a lot of cards to graveyard, and most likely you will get units in the graveyard. So that helps, especially when you're down to 5 and you can get them with a buff of +2/+2. Tyrant to get to Super Tyrant is always effective. It's a core unit of the deck. 2 Maginies in this deck because when you are down to 10 or less, Magini procs. We have Rebel's Memories because I said like the memory count is not that difficult to get to, so you can use Rebel's Memories. I run Tainted King Balhazak in here simply because if it's in your starting hand and you're ditching cards, Balhazak can actually help you sort of keep track of units in your graveyard, like because, you know, he gains +1 attack for each unit in you and your opponent's graveyard. If your opponent hasn't lost anything yet and you've been ditching cards, you can use Balhazak to find out. He says like there's 4 units in the graveyard. If all you've done is use Curse Choice, then you're like, cool, I've done that. That means Rebirth, I can bring something back. You don't know what it was. I mean, it's a risk there, so you have no idea what you've sent. But it's always good to make sure that, you know, your False Thrones get your Devil Joes to the graveyard. Because Devil Joe is just really good. And Devil Joe is just so strong and oppressive. And lastly, but not least, Living Death to basically reset the board if you need to basically remove their field and bring back some units of your own. So yeah, if you're going for normal Uroboros OG style, which is this variation, it's obviously a little bit slower, and there's a few different changes. Only down to 2 Devil Jobs. We run a Cruel Game as well this time to help clear the board. 3 Gormagalas to help you get that life increase, because you want to get Gormagala in the field, you want to place mainly, say, a Super Tyrant next to it, to then just level it up, and then you get Shigara Magala. And then you instantly, when that dies, and every time you get Shigara Magala back, you get 6 life to your HP, which is great. So possessing so in this version, you run 3 possessing malices to potentially keep your units alive on the field, and you would also use it to, you know, multiply Sigma. We run 3 self-predations and 2 murderous spikes. Still running Return Heretics, but yeah, like slight changes to the deck because it is a little bit slower, but it is the OG style of Uroboros. That's always fun to play. So here is a Zero Rokoho after the nerf change. So Zero Rokoho now plays a little bit more different. It's not so oppressive anymore, in my opinion. But this time, like, it utilizes a little more units. Now, Iowa the Boats was talking about this on his stream, so shout out to Iowa. About this one, because he made this. So this one, you utilize more units, but there are still actions to help you get to the end game, which is your X squad, getting the squad to the field. And the reason you do that is because you're running Colin, and she, when played, she explores for weaknesses, and you're utilizing new generation Reploids to bring back those cards. So effectively, you're getting your card memory count up to help drop the X Hunters and to help with Hidden Threat 0. I would say that now, like, okay, the slight change is that you do 3 Foresights, it's for the same thing, but you're no longer running Exposed Evil Eye because it costs too much now. I don't think it's mana efficient anymore for the deck. 3 Splendid Buffets, Ceasefire, Maverick Memories. Maverick Memories has been changed to the point now that you can only negate 5 MP or less, even at Memory 7, so it no longer can stop the high cost card that Black has. So you've got to take into consideration of that. Pyrobat is in here, from my understanding, is just some board control. Like, it is a flying unit, it is going to hit them in the face if they don't deal with it. It's sort of like a threat. You run 3 Demonic Intimidations because I think now that the meta is sort of like more unit heavy-ish, Demonic Intimidation is very important to just deal with a lot of 4 MPs, because there are a lot of 4 MPs that are very, very good. Nero is one of them. Like, they're just really good 4 MPs, so returning them helps. They're in the 1 traditional negate. Damn Rook is really good because only at Memory 2, it sort of just gives you another unit on the field. And you either get that Knight, the Pawn, or the Bishop. Bishop, thank you. Bishop will help sort of keep the HP, but it has a shield on it, so like if you need to play a unit on the field to buy some time, this helps. There's a Skullduggery here, because, you know, if the active response is count 3 or higher, you can return any unit to their X pocket, so it's good to keep track of the active responses when that happened, and then you can go for a return. Nevin is just really good nowadays. Just having that shield, getting her to Memory 4 is not difficult with this deck. Popping 4 free damage to the unit in front is always good, and if it kills, then she gains 2 HP. And she's amazing to just, like, you know, have units die and then keep giving her 2 HP. So Nevin is amazingly good at that, just for that sort of like control. Because I would say that this variation of Zero Rokoho now is for more so much late game control. Early game, it used to be because you were solely relying on Rokoho because it was 16 AP. You would just activate your actions and just pop, and then just go up, pop the field. Now that it costs 22, it's not so much oppressive that you have to just bide your time. Play a bit of a slower game for that late game control. So the new changes I think now that are coming in are Surge Demonic Power, because this card has come back. So like I said before, once the changes to V happened, I forgot to mention Surge Demonic Power. Because what you can do is, if you got V in your hand, wait till you have 10, activate Surge, let your mana sort of build up again. V's at 5 MP, you can play V. He is open to be destroyed now by certain black units that can pop 5, but having V at 5 lets you do the V board control, which I don't know. I'm pretty sure no one really likes V. But there are those that still like to play V, and they will do this play. So instead of, say, maybe X Hunters, but I think you could keep X Hunters, you might throw in V into here. You might do some changes. But Zero Exodia, I think, is a solid deck now. I don't think it's too oppressive. Rokoho is still a pretty strong move, but it takes longer to get to. So I still think this is a good deck now. It's more, I'd say, more in tune to play the meta. So I like this variation of Zero Rokoho. I may consider trying to play this version style at some point later. So this deck is going to be very strong. Zombie Shinku. The changes to Hatred Reborn does change it up a little bit, but this variation is still very, very good. I like this deck still. Instead of Hatred Reborns now, we throw in some Chain Fist. That's replaced Hatred Reborn. So it's a lot more, I guess, more aggressive. You just can't bring units back. The only ones that are coming back are your Revenge units, your Sigma and your Zombies, so you're possessing Mouse on that Sigma. And you've just got to sort of pay a little more attention to how to run the deck now. I think Kyle was trying out a variation still with Hatred Reborn. I mean, you can still use Defect. I don't think people like Defect just because, you know, it drops the unit's HP down to 1. And it's just not good because you want Tortoise to still have max HP if you're bringing back Tortoise or Gates. So I guess this Castle's trying to figure some stuff out, but I'm from what I've played this version so far, and this version is still very good. So Zombie Shinku is still a big threat. It is still a very, very good deck to play on the ladder, and you will see it definitely. And in Champion Tier as well. So yes, I still 100% believe this is a very good deck, even with the changes. It still runs the same stuff. You run your Sigmas, you got a Fate of Unworthy, you run your Jewels for your Ascensions, you have your Gates. Alfred is important for this deck. Goonies for your mana control, Zombies for your mana control, Speech, get that damage out there. 2-man Massacres, Selfish Predation to heal, your 3 Tortoises, Agent's Memories for that potential finishing kill if you can, Liberating Slash, and you got your Chain Fist. I had a game against a Jill which was really, really good. I managed to do a massive comeback to the point that I was on 1 HP, and I was able to basically deal with Jill dropping down FDR, got rid of it, dropped. I've noticed that Jill players, I haven't built a Jill deck, and I do apologize for that, running Dmitry Maximov. And I had to get through Dmitry Maximov. And after that, I basically was able to take control of the game because the Jill lost all momentum. But yeah, like, this is a very good deck. Still very much strong. Just getting your units on the field, utilizing Tortoise's ability. You want to try to keep that Tortoise alive, and you just gotta get your units on the board. Maximize Gates, maximize your damage, maximize your output. Now, Shinku Hadouken Ryu is still very, very much strong. It's still too good. I think right now, to be honest, this deck, maybe not the Hero Shinku, but just the units. The units right now make the deck pretty busted. Just because, you know, I think I said it before, like you drop Ryu, you deal 3 damage. Probably drop Hunter first, Lady. Drop Ryu, drop Sheva. You've done so much damage to the field that they can't deal with it because it's unreactable. The unplay damage right now is really strong on Ryu for a Ryu deck, and it's very difficult to deal with. It's one of the harder matchups to deal with for most decks, and yeah, like it's just so strong. I don't think you don't even need Shield Penguin in this deck. You don't even need Shield. You probably don't need so many 5-drops. But if, like, you know, you want to utilize Sheva. But I would say you probably don't need the Tortoise or the Chill Penguin. Tortoise can still work, but Penguin has dropped off. It's in here in this deck, but you probably really don't need Penguin. I would say Penguin has kind of dropped off in favor for some other units that can just have better potential because they're just faster on their on-play damage. And I think that's what Ryu is more focused on, is just that quick on-play damage that you can't deal with. And then, yeah, The only one that stuck around is Rashid, because, you know, you can just combo Rashid easily with Josh Stone. And then you drop a BB Hood as well. Because, you know, man, BB Hood is still very good. So yeah, this deck is still very, very strong. Very hard to deal with. And yeah, you'll definitely see this climbing. Even in Champion Team. Like, it's a solid deck since day one of Teppen. And I'd say that the on-play damage has sort of gone unnoticed, and I think the on-play damage that these cards do should be nerfed just a little bit, so that it's not so aggressively good that you can't do anything, because literally, they just need to drop a Rashid, Determined Hunter Lady, and a BB Hood, and they've dealt so much damage to the field, and they've got a strong board. And you're trying to save up mana to deal with their units, and Ryu's already saving up mana as well, ready to play the next units to basically stop you. So it's a very hard matchup, but it's a very powerful deck. And last but not least, to finish this up, the new Denjin. Honestly, I don't know why they changed Denjin to 15. I like that they changed it to +1, but the problem is it still stacks. So Denjin plays pretty much the same as it used to. Some Denjin decks probably will still run Ashley, but probably not because she does cost 4. But what they will do is just stop you from playing anything. And then Denjin once, Denjin twice. I still got hit. I remember losing because Aegis Memories was 9 damage, and I had 9 HP. So that sucked. But like, Denjin is... I think Denjin is too strong. I noticed that, you know, with the changes, we were all excited about these changes to Denjin. We're like, okay, cool, maybe this can change up Denjin style, we can play a little bit different. No, not really, it still plays exactly the same way. It's just easier to proc Denjin, it's quicker to proc it, you're still going to proc it twice. Well, they'll keep certain units in their hand, proc it twice, and then drop it. So even if not Veteran Agent Leon, you can throw Ryu in here. If you don't want to have Barrel Bomb, you could definitely drop Ryu in this deck. And it's still a very powerful deck. I think it's too strong for Denjin to be at 15. And I think the main issue is if it doesn't stack, then I don't think it'd be such a big deal to deal with. If Denjin didn't stack, then I think it'd be okay. That's the only thing, because now, like, a lot of Denjins, I think more of them are now utilizing Blockade Strike, just to, you know, get rid of units that have death abilities, so that's very, very strong, especially against black decks with all the death effects. You want to do that. And it's just simply, you know, it's just damage to the hero. This is still stupidly strong, because Denjin. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'm not the only one that still feels like Denjin's still too good. But that's just me. But I feel like I'm not the only one that thinks that. Like, yeah, Denjin, people have fun playing it, but when you're versing it, and you really can't do anything, when he keeps clearing your field, it kind of sucks. And you're just sitting there basically trying to build up, and then you're going to just wait, and they're going to wait patiently, and then just go wham bam with either Agent Leon or Ryu, or smack you in the face with Aegis Man. Yeah. But that's the last one. That's Denjin. I feel like the changes they did were... I think they should really look into it. But maybe as we get further into the season, things might change. I could be completely wrong. So, but I feel like right now it's very oppressively good. Just because you can still play exactly the same way. And yeah. With the new changes to Denjin to being 15 AP instead of 22. Honestly, I think it should still be 22 or 20 +1, but it should not stack. That's all. That's all I think about it. It should not stack. That's it. But yeah, that's just Denjin. I still think there's some other cool ways to play Denjin, but like I'm thinking most of the time you're going to be playing Denjin the original way still. But yeah. But that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the look at these decks that are pretty much right now sort of running the ladder as it is. There are still some people experimenting with some other weird kind of decks, I've noticed that, you know, this is sort of the season of everyone saying RIP X, but I have been seeing some X players come out. I think because they have the skin, they're just telling themselves they gotta play the deck, which is fine, which is hilarious. So I'm seeing some Gaia Armor X's come out. There is some... What else have I seen? Like I said, there's some pretty cool Jill decks now. Now the Jill decks are sort of like... Jill is strong, utilizing Claire's. I really should have had a Jill deck. I can't believe I forgot about that. But a Jill deck is good. My commentating partner, Secret Walls, is pretty much really on board with his Jill deck. So is Mallet Moogle. Moogle might even start playing Jill again. But like I've noticed that they're just like really getting their actions out, and they just dropped Dimitri Maximoff, and I was like, 20 attack on Dimitri, couldn't deal with it. I lost. I was just like, damn, can't deal with that stuff. There was no way to block it in time, which kind of sucked. I think I could have dealt with Dimitri, but I wasn't able to deal with it. Oh, hang on, I forgot a deck. Whoops, my bad. I completely forgot one more deck. Hang on, I completely forgot about the one deck to finish us off. Raging Demon Akuma. I forgot about this deck. Yes. So I've been using this deck right now to climb. I think I will use this to pretty much climb up to champ, and we'll go from there. But Raging Demon Akuma is very good right now, I think. It's still very strong. I run, you know, Master Fist of Akuma. I did actually come across against a Kami deck. Someone actually still tried to run Kami with Akuma Ashura Senku. And I wasn't sure. I looked at when I versed him, I saw Ashura Senku. In my mind, I thought, okay, they're either trying Astalos still. Astalos has been nerfed to the ground. Astalos can gain all the buffs, but after one attack, it's reset to 1. Kami now is just a true honest legendary of once you play her, that is it. She only has those buffs for one-time use. So, the reason I have Master of the Fist of Akuma on Health Ring is I think I'm going to try to get this video and put it on Twitter or something like that. Like, he did all the upgrades. I had a pretty crappy hand, and all I had to play was 2 Seths. So at some point, he finally drops Kami, Ashura Senku's her, takes out my Seth. Ashura Senku's up, takes out the other Seth on the field. I'm like, cool, I expected you to do this. I drop Akuma, he surrenders. That was it. But this is still a very good deck. I love it. You got your Tainted Valkyrie Hands as another late game potential play. We run Cruel Game to even the field out. There's an Obliteration to take care of 1 unit. I run a Bison. I don't think you really need Bison, but I run 1 Bison. Just for that thing. 3 Alexias is very good. I got some really awesome plays. Just dropping her, ascending her, and popping 2 units. I've been very lucky to get that kind of stuff. Enjoy it. You run your Fates. Seth is there after 3 Ascensions to pop a 4 MP or less. Really effective, strong. Agile for those Ascension gains. You run your Gates for your mana control. Alfred is to deal with 3 MPs or lower. You got your Junies. Defects, I don't mind really to run defects in this because I'm just using it to bring back either Junie or Alfred, and I'm gonna just ascend over them or Gate and with Agile. Mastery of the Hado, basically on a unit and just like wanting that's a nice mana gain back. It's really good, and you got your Selfish Predations for those heals. So this is what I'm using. I'm having fun with this deck. Yeah. But yeah, there we go. Back take 2 again, but that's pretty much all I got. So again, I apologize for not having a Jill deck. I really should have had one. I completely forgot all about it. But Jill decks are still good. So those are like I said, this is pretty much what we're seeing right now on the ladder. Things might change. I still feel like I know what's going to be the really top tier decks. I'm just not confirming it just yet with myself. But I can at least be as certain about Shield Spire. Trinity Shield Spire. I can be certain about that deck. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you think. So have fun on the ladder climbing, guys. And yeah. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Peace out. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.